right, Moose fan, welcome to another edition of the Moose Media Show. As always, we're here to discuss past series, what's been happening in the Moose, interesting things in this series. Normally we talk trades, but as you know, the trade deadline is come and gone, so there's no trades to discuss. So this show is going to be focused solely on the past week series, and this is a very intimate. It's myself, Vic, Lev, and Belial, so we'll give you some insight, hopefully, into what's been happening. Some series that caught our attention, things that we found interesting. Welcome all. Welcome Vic and Belial. So let's get right into the series that we had this week. The one thing that we can all note and agree, I think we've seen that there's a lot of reschedules that happened, partly due to because I think Memorial Weekend in the States had a bit of a factor on that. But there's some other reasons for reschedules as well. But let's just take a look and jump right into the first series up last Sunday, which was Colinelli versus Sani, and I'm sure this is going to be talked about later on as one of our big upsets or surprises. Colinelli pulls out to sweep. Colinelli wins the first game 6-2, second game 5-3, and third game 7-1, which I do not understand why Sani lost that series to that extent, but it can happen anytime, any place. Bilal, what do you think on that series and the outcome?
Definitely shows that the trade deadline moves. I think he made 4 or 5 moves on the deadline. It shows, similar to Dutch of last season, he's been playing very well with his new team that he's picked up, and it shows by a sweep of Sani, who I do believe at one point of this season won 19 straight games. And in this league, with the diverse of players spread out throughout the whole league, it kind of shows that Colinelli did make some good moves and built the chemistry way up from where it was, and beating a team like Sani's 3-0 with Tenure and Sani and Watman all on that team at once. It shows that he made a very, very good moves on the deadline there.
Vic, what's your thoughts on that series? What do you think was a big factor in that win, or what do you think of the outcome of that one?
Outcome definitely shocking, just for the sweep. Again, sweeps always kind of seem to shock me unless it's top of the food chain versus bottom of the barrel team. But Colinelli, like Bilal said, I think he nailed it. Made those trades at the deadline. Really seems to have turned his team around. I think a big thing too, what I remember Colinelli, I think, saying in the chat box was basically how they're kind of going in knowing that this was going to be like a feel-it-out kind of game, see how their team was after the deadline, make sure they just got through and did whatever they could. I think that attitude kind of probably helped a lot, where no one was really feeling stressed about their role, so they were able to kind of go in and just relax and play their game, and things obviously worked out very well for them. So congrats, Colinelli.
Yeah, I think you both hit a pretty good analysis. I do think the moves that Colinelli made are proving to be smart moves and good moves on his part. I mean, you've got individuals I think we've discussed in the show before, Holy Schwartz, who I know, Vic, you said before is a great player and you think is going to do big things, and he's obviously working out well with Big 50 and Musta or Tommy Wingels, and we said it before, Tommy Wingels has the skills to be a great player. There's no questioning that, and maybe Colinelli has the touch just to kind of rein him in on the other concerns that he sometimes has as a player. So good moves on him, and it's obviously working. Well, that's a tough team that he beat, so good on them.
Absolutely, yeah.
The second one is another series for the Sunday that we have Bar versus Blue, and Blue won that series 2-1. First game Bar won 4-2. Second game Blues team won 5-2, and the third game they won as well 6-2. So what do you think of that series, Vic? Any thoughts on that? Surprised, not surprised?
Well, it's good to see Blue pull that win out. I know they had some trouble, I think, just getting their team together. I believe Fastway had to leave his family memorial barbecue or whatever it was. So I think APOC had to drive some time to get there on time to make this series actually happen, or at least avoid the sim losses. So good for them for the dedication. That being said, I guess this is one of the ones that really it was a good matchup just because they're both fighting for their, I think, second place in the division. I don't think either is going to reach Sani for where they are. So very important points to get here in a division matchup, and good for Blue to take 2 out of the 3 on this one.
Bilal, your thoughts on this one?
I'm kind of in the same boat. Happy for Blue that he took the series, and good dedication from his teammates there to actually show up for the series and make that series a series. And to pull out the win, it's pretty impressive there. I know Barr made some moves as well. Blue's been that steady, still fighting for that playoff spot guy all year, and I think with that win will help bring up his team morale and maybe bring some more wins to that win column there.
Yeah, that's again. I think this is another example of two captains in terms of Blue and Barr who've made some pretty decent moves throughout the year and close and at the deadline that have paid dividends. No disrespect to Blue's team, I'm a little surprised that they did beat Barr, considering how Barr's team has been improving. But just looking over some of the new individual names or some of the people on Blue's team, it's kind of interesting. It looks like it's a mix of vets you could call were kind of forgotten in the draft outside of Fastway who've reproven themselves as the reasons why they're vets and good players. You got Blackjack, you got Santos, Blanco. What else do we got here? We got McLeod. I know McLeod had issues with his Xbox being stolen while he was traveling. Donster. I mean, these guys are names that are not necessarily talked about as the elite people, but there are veterans that are obviously making a difference. So good on Blues team for pulling that one. The third series for Sunday is Yeti versus Murph. No disrespect to Yeti, but this isn't a surprise that Murph won this series. But it looked like it was a tight series, so good on Yeti for putting up a fight. The first game was 4-2 Murph. Second game was Murph overtime 4-3. And the last game, so Murph only won this 2-1, was a 4-3 win for Yeti in overtime. What do you think of that one, Bilal?
I agree with you. A surprise. Yeti's team, I think the second last team in the league right now, and Murph being one of the top guys. For Yeti to take it to 2 straight overtime games and actually pull one out and get 3 points out of the possible 6 in total, that's a pretty big surprise for me. Give the team props. Yeti's made some moves, got some guys in the natural positions, picked up some big players like Gino, for example, on the wing, and it's paid dividends for him. He's got some wins recently, and he's done very well at cleaning it up a little bit in the last few series, and they've put some wins together as well.
What's your take, Vic? Are you surprised that Murph didn't sweep this one?
Not entirely, no. Yeti's team, he's made some good moves, like Bilal said too, but I think it's just too little too late for them to really make a push. You mentioned they were close to the bottom. They're currently third, I believe, third last in the league, so I believe they're actually mathematically eliminated as well. So unfortunately that's the reality of it, but again, those moves have helped them kind of, I guess, screw over other teams, namely Murph right now, which everyone in the Yzerman division can appreciate, I'm sure. I know I can. So good for them. And we played them the other night, and they're not exactly a laughing stock team. They might be at the bottom there, but I think that was just because of the early troubles they had. And after these moves, again, just too little too late, because I really think they could have made a push had they been in a better position around the deadline.
Yeah, and that's no small feat to take the number 1 team in the Moose, as it currently stands now with points, and give them that kind of a run. And credit to Yeti and his boys for sticking it out and playing. Even though it's not a most successful season for them, they're still showing up, still playing the games for the Moose. So that's always good to see when captains have a team and players that can still do that even when it's not the nicest season for them. Mm-hmm. So congrats to them. And to Murph. Murph is obviously we had some discussions at the earlier beginning of the season about how we thought Murph's team may not or may do well based on some of the trades that we questioned, draft moves he made and subsequent trades, and the 1 to 2 players, but he's pulling it together, so good on him. Last one for Sunday, we have D-Mart versus Valoran, and D-Mart swept this series. First game 4-3, second game 7-3, final game 5-2. Any surprises there, Vic, for that one?
Maybe just, again, the sweep. Again, it just comes down to that. It always shocks me that there's a sweep. I don't know why, but especially you get a 4-3 game. Game 1 looks like it really could have gone either way just based on the score. Obviously not playing in it, it's hard to tell, and not actually looking at some of the other stats. But then the doors get blown off, and they take them 2-3, 7-3, and 5-2. So I think the right team won here. It's just a shock that maybe Lawrence didn't pull out that Game 1 victory.
Bilal, your thoughts on that series?
A little bit of a surprise, DMart sweeping. Definitely has the talent to do so. But I know Volorn picked up Liberated for net. So it was a little bit of a surprise, especially when got Mac himself and DeVito up front. That's a lot of offense there. They've been putting up the points this year. I know Devin's been carrying a big load on his shoulder on that side of the ice. So a little bit of a surprise that they weren't able to muster at least one W out of it. But again, DMart definitely has the team and the skill to do so, for sure.
Yeah, I do think that it came out the way it should have. Again, no disrespect to Lauren's team, but I think DMart's team as a whole is a little bit stronger, so I'm not surprised to see them win it, but I am a little bit surprised to see the score difference in some of the games. But that's what happens in this. Sometimes they're close, sometimes they're blowouts. On Monday, there was a couple of sweeps in terms of Sims, and there was a reschedule. So we'll go to one of the games that actually got played. Was Viva versus Josto, and again a big shout out to Josto taking over for a team that lost its captain. Viva's team won the first game 10-1, second game 7-3, and third and final game 9-3. Anything stick out for you on that one, Bilal? Is that just again the way it should go, or are you surprised at the scores?
I know Josto stuck up for Cracker Joe there. Again, when we played them earlier in the season, they were one of the tougher teams we played at the start of the season. I don't know if losing Grimm was that catastrophic for their team, but it's showing in the scores. Again, Viva has the same offense he had from last year. He has CK Benson in net and two new D-men back there who have been doing solid. So not overwhelmingly surprised by the sweep, but by the scores. 10-1, 7-3, 9-3, like you said. That's 26 goals in favor of Viva and 7 in favor of Josto. So that's kind of a big spread there, which is a little bit surprising.
Vic, what do you think? Same things or anything different?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, just big shout out for Joe for stepping up, keeping that team alive, so that it doesn't ruin the standings as far as just sim wins, automatic points. At least this way, even if it goes to overtime, it might screw up standings somewhere else. So good on him to keep that alive. But again, he's got 5 one-bag of dick players, $0 bag of dicks players. Some are replacement players. I'm sure they're having a bit of an issue fitting in. No one on the team, I don't think, really is a big elite player. I mean, shout out to a couple guys, Smoke Panda, Caminator. They're guys who've been around, but again, just not elite level. It's tough the positions they play, so it is what it is. But when you're going against Viva's team too, they're another top team for a reason. They're connecting. They play a lot. I know on their new famous club here, that's the ticket. So they're building chemistry. They know what they're doing. Everything's working for them right now. So it's not a real shock to see Joe's team go down to them in such a fashion.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think you've hit it on the nail on the head pretty good in terms of Joe Stowe's team taking over for Cracker Joe. That team is just a team of character. Like you said, they're not necessarily all elite. And facing that much talent that's playing that well together and gelling, you're just bound to see those kind of scores, which is unfortunate. But again, kudos to them for sticking in and playing. The next series for Monday was D-Mitch versus Vin. And this is a sweep by D-Mitch, which I'm going to say first off is I'm surprised that Vin got swept in this one. I would have figured this would have been much more of a battle. But it was first game 4-3 for D-Mitch, D-Mitch's team. Second game 6-2. Third and final game 5-3. Anything about this series that you may know of, or anything, Bilal, or just looking at the score and production that sticks out?
Well, I was in that series, and I know it was painful. Credit to D-Mitch's team. They moved the puck very well. That was the first series that they didn't have Lib, their top goal scorer on their team. And to be completely honest, they look 100% completely different, and in a good way. I know it's tough to say because Lib, I felt, was a better player in that deal that they got. But the way they rotated their players, they put them in speed, and that they basically dominated us all over the ice. And big credit to D-Mitch. It wasn't really, I would say, too good of a series. It was more like hopefully we'll get a turnover and get a quick loose chance and score a goal quickly. But other than that, D-Mitch kind of carried the puck all night. the time on ice difference was pretty marginal. So credit to Dimich there.
Your take on this, Vic?
Well, it's tough to, I guess, argue with anything Blau says. He was there, I wasn't. Just judging by the rosters, the two players on Dimich's team that stand out for me are Banksy and Derek. The way Banksy is, he's very offensive-minded as far as I know as a left wing, if that's where he's still playing. Matching up against someone like Blau, who's very offensive as well. So there I can imagine each giving each other a lot of space to work, which may be why they led to a lot of goals on that side. I know Banksy was a top points leader this week, so I'm sure some of those came in this series. Derek versus Toke, as far as that matchup, Derek being right D, Toke being the opposing left wing. Same thing, Toke plays more defensive, and I think Derek plays a bit offensive defenseman, but obviously is stellar at defense as well. Just the matchups there, I'm sure there was space for both to work. I know Derek, when we last played this team, Dimich, they had Liv at that time, but it was still basically the pass from the right wing to Derek, who found Banksy backdoor, and that thing just connected 9 times out of 10. He's got great vision, knows when to pass it, can figure out the lane, and both of them seem to work well together. So, again, shocked that Vin wasn't able to at least take one, if not win, but it is what it is. I guess the games were kind of close.
Yeah, and I guess I do anyways. I know in the trade show we discussed about not understanding why Dimich would make the move he did in moving Lib, but looks like he knows better than us. His team's still doing well, and they sweep. And you said yourself, Bilal, you saw some differences with the look without Lib, and it was to the good. So that's why he's the captain, and that's why they're winning, I guess. Tuesday series. The first one we got on tap is Fallen versus Sandy, and Sandy wins, but Fallen does take a game in this one. So Fallen's team takes the first game 3-1. Second game, 7-4 Sandy, and the third and final game, 8-6 Sandy. Vic, do you think that's an indication of Fallen teams actually putting up a fight with that kind of one win and some closer scores?
Yeah. Fallen's team's kind of been one of those ones where they always seem to peck away at good teams and the better teams, and usually manage to pull out one, if not a surprising upset. So not shocked to see them win the one and keep game 3 close. I mean, it's tough when you put up 6 goals for your team and 8 go the other way. I'm not sure exactly what the issue there is, but maybe it's just Sandy's team is more powerful offensively than the Fallen's team is defensively, even though they have Nate. Can't pinpoint who their other defenseman is right now, but it just seems to be the trend for this team that they just kind of hang around and they're getting wins where they should, and they're getting a couple where you wouldn't expect them to, so it's keeping them in the hunt. So good job there.
What's your take on this one, Blau?
Again, Fallen's been doing this all season. I don't think he's got swept too much. He's at least taken one from a bunch of his series. A little bit of the highest scoring, I would say. Fallen taking a game 3-1, and then all of a sudden it's 7-4, 8-6. Like all of a sudden the scoring just erupted. I guess that's maybe the only surprise of the series. Definitely saw Sandy taking this 2, if not all 3. But again, Fallen's been around that 500 mark all year. And he'll continue to be, I feel. Winning series 2-1, losing 1-2. I don't think he'll overly dominate, but underwhelm either. So definitely good job by Fallen here for sure.
And just as a funny note of commentary, I noticed in the chat today someone mentioned that Fallen may have to rename his, apparently the Hounds of Justice in WWE last night broke up or something like that, or something happened. So that may cause some problems for his team name, or he may be in a little bit of a mourning. But yeah, I think you guys, again, made some good points about that team. They seem to be a team that's just kind of hanging on. They're not quite losing every game, and they're not quite winning when they necessarily should be winning as many as they can. But I'm not surprised Sandy won. Sandy's team is stacked. They are top of the league. They're up there with Murph. They're up there with Dimich. They're winning games. I don't know if it was any kind of a record in terms of a win streak, but their team pushed it, so I'm not surprised on that one. The other series for that week is Rocco. So Rocco plays Viva. Viva won the first game in overtime 5-4. Rocco won second game 3-1, and the third game 3-2, giving Rocco the 2-1 win. Now this is a much tighter series. 3-2 and 3-1 wins for Rocco, and Viva pulling it out in overtime. So this must have been a tightly contested match. Any surprise on the winners, Vic?
Nah. Yeah, a little surprised that Rocco's team won. It's good to see, personally, just for the divisional stuff, or rather the conference. But again, I guess the big, well, as I'm sure a lot of people read and saw in the write-up, the key to this one was C.K. Benson. I guess Rocco's team's motto there was just get pucks on net, and that's exactly what they did. Seemed to work for them, as obviously they won. I think when you're able to get that many shots on net, eventually enough of them are going to go in that you're going to get the win. So congratulations to Rocco's team there, beating a huge contender in Viva.
You, Bly, what do you think of this one? Are you surprised at the outcome?
A tad bit. I think Rocco made some moves though that made his team better, a lot better. And but the only surprise is the Vivas team is one of the top teams, and Rocco's been around that 500 mark. But again, trade deadlines can change teams. They can change the course of your team. So if you're falling, they can also make that one move, and it changes your team around completely. Definitely doesn't hurt at all. But definitely, I think a little bit of a surprise. I saw Viva taking this 2-3, but the 2-3 for Rocco's not a bad ending up either. They made the moves necessary to compete in this series, and definitely did well in this series for sure, getting the win.
Yeah, I'm going to say I'm a little surprised to see Rocco win, and by looking at the individuals on Rocco's team and just looking quickly at the stats in terms of the production, it seems like the point production for this team is being spread pretty equally amongst pretty much all the players on the team. And I kind of asked, and we kind of lost sight of it, a question about guys or teams we thought we weren't necessarily giving enough airtime or just weren't quietly going about the business. And I think this team here qualifies as that team that's just quietly plugging along. And good for them for taking out a top contender, as you pointed out, Vic. So good on them, and it's a bit of a surprise to me to see them take that one. So next up on the Tuesday, there's a series that involved my team, which is a sweep due to Sims. So we'll move on to Murph. Murph again, sweeping, winning, 4-1 first game, 6-2 second game, and 7-2 third game. I think I'm going to be a bit presumptuous and go to you, Vic. You're not surprised by this at all.
No, Murph's team is real solid. And he just mentioned the chat box there about the last series, the one that they went to overtime against Yeti, and then Yeti won the third game in overtime. They played all 3 games without a center, so they were using a CPU just because they could only field 5. So a big hurdle there, I guess, to even pull out some wins there. But no discredit to Yeti's team. Again, they have a solid squad since the deadline. Murph, when he's got the 6 that he wants rolling with, is definitely a team that could easily win this Moose Cup. I think everyone thinks of them as at least a top 3 contender, if not top, maybe just the top team. They've been flying high all season. Murph has been very good at cycling through Global and Sweet Lou and using both when he needs to against certain teams, checking the schedule, kind of strategizing exactly what he needs to do to win. And Murph himself hasn't been bad on defense at all, stopping a lot of top right wings in the league, getting to the corner and setting up. So not too shocked to see this sweep here, to be quite honest. The score is a little high. I thought they'd be closer, but yeah, not too shocked to see Murph sweep, really to sweep anybody.
And Bilal, your thoughts on this one?
This was the Murph Finn series again, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, again, a part of this. And I agree with both of you guys. We knew coming in that it was going to be a tough series, and we were hoping to take at least one, if not the series. But Murph's team, the way they're organized, the scheme that they're fit into, and the amount of time they play together, they move the puck very, very well. Good passing. There always seems to be one guy open on the ice, no matter where you're covering. We can have 8 guys on the ice, and they'll still find a puck through. A lot of cycling, a lot of back to the point. As a winger, personally, I'm so confused. I'm going down low, going up. I'm skating more in my defensive zone than I am on the breakout. So to that, I give credit, especially to Murph, for getting the people that fit his system and the way he plays, and for his teammates, for everybody buying into the system. Without that, I don't think they would be near where they are at, and you never know. You could see some Rule 1s could have been happening there, but credit to everybody on that team. They're one of the top teams for a reason. They play, they work well together, and they're all good guys to each other. There's no really any emo in that party going on, and for that I give credit.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. I think there's a lot of credit due to Murph in terms of ability as a captain so far. If there was an award for the most cerebral captain, I'd have to give it to him, just to the fact that, as you mentioned, Vic, all the management that he has to be doing with his players and his availabilities with those individuals, and then finding the right mix, and he seems to be doing it, so kudos to him. Well done. Next up, we have another series to discuss. We've got Blue versus Valoren, and Blue wins this series 2-1, and this extremely tight series. It was 3-2 Valoren in the first game, 6-5 Blue OT, and 3-2 Blue OT. What do you think of this one, Vic? Are you happy to see that kind of a tight series finally in all our scores so far?
Yeah, actually, when I was putting these stats in for us here on our media sheet, it was kind of good to see a close game, a couple overtimes. Those are the ones you actually like to play in. For the most part, I think many people do, anyways. They can be a bit stressful when they go to overtime, sure, but those are the fun ones, right? You don't like the 10-1, 7-3, 9-3, like Viva versus Joe. Those are disheartening, I think, for both sides. Kind of gets boring. It shouldn't say boring. It gets kind of monotonous, just putting up points and knowing that it's kind of inferior. You feel kind of like you're wasting your time in a sense, and you don't like being pounded on either. So good to see this very close series, and good job for Blue to actually pull these out in overtime. So, and actually, you know what? Being that it's overtime, it looks like each team took 4 points from this series, so moves both of them up the standings. So good for both teams, and it was a tight match.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that it's a perfect split of points, 4 points each, and that's kind of a nice thing to see when obviously both teams played as well as they did against each other and it being so tight. Yeah, it's kind of a good news story to see the outcomes of the game, but at least both teams came out not feeling that they lost or the effort was wasted. Blyle, your thoughts on the series?
Tend to disagree a little bit surprised that Blue won this series. Definitely, like, Libs in net, DeVito, Valoren, Mac, I don't know quite their doing. I think it's Jason Blaze and Jets Killer. Obviously, that's the weakness of that team. Definitely not really a deep pair. I see Jets more of a right wing and Jason in net. But again, Lib is a top, possibly 5 goalie right now, I would say, based on his experience and everything he's done. So definitely kind of a little bit concerning that Valoren's team is still losing games with the players Lib that they picked up for net. Because I know goaltender was their issue before, but I don't know, a little bit surprised about this series for sure. I thought Valoren would at least take 2 or 3, if not sweep.
Now, just look. That's very good analysis. But just looking at the, and I could be wrong here, but I'm just looking at the stats, a list for Lib. I don't see him playing a game of goalie yet for these guys. Am I seeing this right?
He's playing goalie. I talked to him the other night.
Yeah. So if I look at okay. So just maybe the stats aren't updated, but interesting. And again, these are the types of things when we had that show when we talked about trades, we can make all the assumptions we want, but sometimes either captains know something we don't, or just things just don't work out as you would expect, or as cleanly as you would expect. Maybe is a better way to put it. You just see different players with different chemistries mixing it and finding out what works and what doesn't. So, but yeah, I think we've agreed it's good to see a tight series like that and see both teams come out with something. Last series for Tuesday is D-Mitch versus Josto, and it's listed here as a sweep. I don't see the scores for Josto, so we'll go by 3 goals were scored by D-Mitch, and it was an overtime, so that's obviously 3-2. 10-something for D-Mitch and 7-something. So I don't know if we want to go into too much in-depth analysis. I think we all agree that D-Mitch was a stronger team, and it's not a shock that he won. Any quick comments on that series, Vic?
No, not much to comment on. Just a stat stacking kind of series.
Yeah. What about you, Blau? Same thoughts?
I think there's one player on D-Mitch's team that is above their whole team in salary. I think Banksy covers their whole salary in just one player, and that tells you the story right there. It's not a surprise at all. stat stacking for sure.
Next series for Wednesday, the rest of them were rescheduled, was a Yam sweep. So congratulations to you and your team, Vic. Seems to be again another very tight series with 1-goal games across all 3 games. 3-2 for Yam's team in the first, 4-3 second game, the final third game 5-4. So any insight you can give us on that series, you as being a participant, Vic? What did you see or didn't see from either team that is surprised or didn't surprise you?
Very hard-fought series for us. They came out. They scored a few each time. I think, as far as I remember, they scored first each time, and maybe even scored a couple, got the lead. We kind of just buckled down and went to work, and actually were able to come back to get these victories. I think every one of them was a come-from-behind victory. None of them were gimme goals, as far as I remember, either. It was hard-fought the whole way. Very, very tight series, as the scores dictated. I mean, we swept, sure, but really any of the games could have gone either way. I think the best thing to come out of this one, and unfortunately I got to the party late, but after, I guess JB was just kind of ranting and raving and screaming about A and goaltending, as he's known to do. So I'm sad I missed that part, but from what I heard, it was pretty epic. So I think that's the best thing to come out of this series.
And shout out to one of your teammates, Danny. I saw him post in the chat earlier today that he's a avid watcher and he likes to listen to us while he plays chess. So kudos to him for being a media member, or sorry, a media watcher. And maybe his chess playing is helping you guys a little bit. Maybe he's being a little more strategic than some other players.
Oh, absolutely. So, Danny's he's got great insights into the game and what we should be doing, and he's usually the voice of reason when things are going bad. So, yeah, shout out to Danny for sure.
So it seems like Yam's got 2 of those kind of guys on the team. I think that's a pretty accurate description of yourself, Vic. Very level-headed, sees things. So
I don't see that.
Other cerebral team, some well-thought captain moves by Mr. Yambag. Vic, Bilal, your thoughts on this one?
What? Sorry.
Yeah, I went through the names in my head, and then I finally hit what was right. Sorry, bud. What's your thoughts on this, Yam?
But
yeah,
not much surprise. Yeti bottom of the barrel, but a better team. Surprised that one game went to overtime, and the scores actually 3-2, 4-3, 5-4. Like I was expecting like 5-1, 4-1. 6-2, stuff like that. I wasn't expecting that. I've seen Yam's team play a lot. A lot of other guys I've played against in the past. But really, thought it should have been a lot more high scoring in favor of Yam's team there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's fair to keep putting Yeti's team down and say that it should be an expectation of a higher score. I think Yeti, as we've said before earlier in the show, that Yeti's made some change and that team's a lot different than it is. Nice to see Vic's team win it, but it's good, again, to see a very hard-fought, well-played series.
It's not necessarily a shot to Yeti's team. It's mostly a kind of a shot at Yam's team, because I think they're a higher caliber team than I think they're in the upper echelon of the league, to be honest. I think with the players they have and the skill that they have on that team, I don't think it's wrong to judge it anyway that, say, Yeti's team is bad, but Vic's team is a lot better.
Oh, no, AC nailed it. Yeti's team's been solid. I mean, we played them first time in the season. We outscored them 27 to something goals. This time we put up I shouldn't say just 12, but we put up 12, which was literally 1 goal a game enough to get the wins. Completely different team, so completely different analysis on this one. But yeah, we could obviously be doing better, but again, it's not the stats, it's the W's that count for us. That's the way we've been playing too.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily sorry, but I wasn't trying to disagree with what your point was. I just think, in just fairness to Yeti, I think it's a tale of 2 teams. There was one team at the beginning of the season. He's made moves and changes, and it's a little bit of a different. So last 2 series, we have Dutch and Claremont. Again, the secondary scores for the losing team aren't put in, but we show Claremont getting the sweep. We surprised by this? Is this something we should have seen from Claremont's team sooner, or is this just finally, after some moves and trades, he's finally getting some things together? What do you think, Vic?
Well, I mean, Claremont's always been known as one of the better players in the league, as far as I know. I've always heard his name thrown around. You got guys like Horton playing there too. I'm sure these guys have finally figured out their chemistry. The rest of the team falling in place, figuring out their roles, getting things done. I want to say that series against Dutch, I don't know if Dutch was, maybe this was a series where Dutch didn't have his cards because his account got banned or something like that. That might be a big issue there. Obviously, Dutch being the skilled player he is, even without even with the amateur 3 or whatever he works himself up to, it's just sometimes you get kind of screwed over by the other players' attributes, their builds. When they're all Legend 3 and you're skating around with an amateur 3, kind of tough to contend, even if you are the best in the game, I think.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, and to be pointed out. Just based on the volatility of these two teams over the past season, I wouldn't say there would be a surprise of any outcome. I think it's just two teams that have struggled and they're on different paths right now. I think Claremont's team is coming together and poor Dutch's team is coming apart for different reasons. Yeah, I don't know if there's much of a surprise. What's your take on this, Bilal?
Not really a surprise based on how Dutch's team has been overall, but kind of a surprise just both teams overall for the season. Both teams, I know Claremont had a different captain at the start of the season, but both teams were ranked kind of in the upper tier of the league for teams going to be easily making the playoffs. We had Dutch's team, I think, probably ranked in the top 3 at the start of the season, and then y'all know Goofy J's team, or Claremont's team, now ranked in the top 5 as well. They both had teams that could put the puck in the net, keep the puck out of the net, as we thought, but as we can see here with kind of the later part of the season here, we're noticing that it's been a little bit of a kind of weird season for both the teams here.
In our final series to discuss, and then we'll wrap up and we'll give the opportunity to Vic to talk about the 3 stars of the week and team of the week. The final series being my team versus D-Mart. And before we get into the analysis, I just wanted to take this time to thank D-Mart as a captain to captain for being quite understanding. We had arranged a reschedule on his part, and ahead of the reschedule, there was quite a bit of problems on my team in terms of the jam couldn't get on. I was a bit late, and D-Mart was the gentleman and gave us all the time we needed, and we were able to get the game played without any concerns. So thanks to him and his team for that. And a shout out to Dalai Lama. That guy is a beast in net. And that's by no means taking away any of the other players in that series. They played well. They obviously beat us, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a second. But that was a well-oiled team and that played a very, very competitive, good series. So what's your take on this one, Vic? Be gentle with me, too.
No, again, 2 of the games, 3-2. The other middle one there, 5-2. A bit of a blowout. Maybe that happened in the end when things start piling on. I don't know, not being there. But 2 top teams. Tough to say what happened, obviously, not being there and just judging by the scores. It looks like a close game, and it was just one of those ones where the sweep doesn't necessarily dictate the actual way the games went. But again, D-Mart's team, highly skilled, very offensive, and like you said, got Dolly as the backstop when things don't work out for them. It's always nice to have that character player in net where you can always rely on them and not be too worried about turning over the puck, whether it's in the offensive zone or the neutral zone, things like that. Being able to rely on somebody like that is a huge benefit to a team. Basically, I think it just comes down to D-Mart's team was a bit better this night, and that's the way it worked out.
Lyle, your thought on this one?
Just a recommendation to UAC or to you, D-Mart. Try to use protection next time because AC didn't want to feel this bad after the end of the night. But besides the fact, it looks like a good series. D-Mart's obviously game 2 must have been a little bit some weird goals going in or a good play by D-Mart's team. But overall, 2 better teams in the league, a good series, and as Vic said, the scores don't really dictate the sweep. It looks like it was this hard-fought series all night, and like literally that's 1 shot on net that could have put that game into overtime or whatever. So definitely that series doesn't really dictate how both teams probably played in this one.
Yeah, it was a very tight series. Well played on both sides. I'm not going to take anything away from D-Mart's team and kind of say that we didn't do this or we had this problem. They were the better team that series. They won it. Congratulations to them. I know our team will come back and do better, but you can't win them all. We'd like to, but you necessarily can't. So Vic, we're going to go to you, my friend, to give us the weekly team of the week and stars of the week. If you're ready to go with that,
Yeah,
give you
certainly.
the chance to wrap it up.
Yeah, we just talked a bit about these guys. The third star of the week, again, always great to have goalies in there, not just the forwards. I know it's easy to get the points. Well, easier anyways, it seems, than to stop them. So this week's third star, repeating, I think, as a third star, is Dalai Lama. It was a close call between Dolly and Jay Money. Jay Money, some stats a little better, but again, I always take into account the schedule that you play. So D-Mart's team having to play you guys there, AC, kind of tipped the scale in his favor. 6 games played, 6 wins, 2.33 goals against, and an .833 save percentage gives Dalai Lama third star of the week. Moving on, second star of the week. He's basically most notable as a center from what I've always seen, but this season playing a lot of left D. Leading his team in hits, I believe, as well. I know he put up about 54 this week, so very impressive stuff there. Played a couple good teams, division rivals in Vin, and I think, I can't remember, I think it was D-Mitch as well. 6 games played, 7 goals, 12 assists for 19 points, plus 13, and those 54 hits I mentioned earns Murph 416 second star of the week. First star of the week, another one from the North America East team, D-Mart 15, the captain of said team. 6 games played, 8 goals, 13 assists, 21 points, plus 9 for the week, and also 15 hits. This might cause a bit of controversy, whatever you want to call it, just because I know Banksy, Jay-Z, and Viva, all stellar players, all had great points weeks too. Again, it comes down to the strength of schedule. Really what was the deciding factor here was the fact that those 3 players on their own played against Joe Stowe's team, who's kind of struggling, and they were in those 10-1, 7-3, those high-scoring games where it's just kind of stat stacking. So trying to keep it a bit closer with this the tougher schedule for these players. So again, congratulations to D-Mart 15. You are the #1 star of the week.
Well, thank you, sir, and well put.
Hold on, I'm doing the team of the week, buddy. Sorry, I know I like to ramble and go on, but third star, first star, Dalai Lama, D-Mart, both members of this team, North America East. Again, comes down to the strength of schedule, ending the week, sweeping AC's team, really put them over the edge. 6 games played, 6 wins, 12 points, 27 goals for, and 14 goals against. Huge gains against 2 divisional opponents in Valoran and AC, pushing them close to the top of their division and right in the hunt for that #1 spot in their division to get the bye through the first round of the playoffs. So congratulations to North America East. You're the team of the week.
Sorry,
now you can take it away, AC.
Thank you, sir. I apologize for that.
Quite all right.
So, as always, Moose fam, that's our show for the week. We hope you enjoy it. We do this for you. We do it because we love it. We love the Moose. Again, thank you to Vic and to Balal for being part of this. A shout out to Blue, who's in the background doing the technical stuff for us. Thank you. We do, like I said, we hope you enjoy it. Play well, have fun, and good luck to all those teams in playoff races. And to all those who aren't, who are still playing, kudos to you. That's what the Moose is about. Keep playing, even if it hurts. Good night, boys. Have a good one.
See ya.